Hey everyone, Coach Levitt here with Primeletics. Today we're going to talk about how to become a basketball trainer. And the first thing is first, don't ever say basketball trainer. In the athletic world, it's player development. You are a basketball player developer. Basketball player development is what is called, not say trainer. You will offend everyone that you come across contact with, and then you will have no connection. So that is first things first. Basketball player developer, or you do basketball player development. Say it with me. So basketball player development, you need to have a passion for basketball to even get into this. I know it's one of the most popular things that's going on right now. Everybody wants to be a trainer. They want to be some type of, big time fame influencer, and they want to make all the money, get all the accolades and all that stuff. No, when you do development, it's all about having a passion for the game. Like, that has to be the first things first. You have to go in this with a heart of passion, because if you don't, you won't last more than a month. You will get burnt out. It'll be draining. You won't even be setting yourself up in the right way. So, in my opinion, if you did not play, high school basketball is great, but if you went to college and you're missing the game for a couple years, so you didn't get to play on the college level. If you didn't play collegiate basketball, you weren't a manager or anything of that sort, so you should try to go back and coach youth ball, high school, middle school, AAU, something on that level. Like, you need some type of coaching to really, or some coaching or heavy playing experience. It doesn't matter what division you played in college. Like, if you play college ball, you should have a pretty good outline and template of how to set up a training session, or a mind to think of training sessions and how far they go. Now, the other thing is, if you did play, another great thing to do after you get done playing is coaching, because it also gives you, like, just from the experience of playing and coaching, like, coaching gives you the other side of it. Like, you find out a lot more. You find out how much more in detail that you need to be. Like, as a player, the coaches kind of give you the blueprint of a scouting report and, knowing an opponent and stuff. When you're coaching, you have to be able to explain to your players. And the reason that's important, because, even when you're scouting, you're breaking down somebody's game. And that's kind of what this is. You're analyzing their game and breaking it down. So, when you're reading the scouting report, this guy is right hand dominant, doesn't use his left hand at all. When he puts his ball in his left hand, his favorite go-to move is the crossover or the in and out. Whatever you may have it, you need to be able to do that with your own players. That's why coaching is great. That's the first thing. And let me tell you a trick. If you go to a high school, if you want to just jump right into the high school level, if you go to the head varsity coach and tell him that you will volunteer, which means you don't get paid, which is for free, they will take you. You will be able to do whatever you want. If you tell a high school coach that you want to come there and do some type of skills training and work with the high school team, or coach with them and volunteer on staff, they will take you. The word volunteer has the greatest thing to anybody. Like, it just means I'm getting free labor. And then that way you get to make it your own. You get to have your own hands-on experience with it. And you get to figure out, like, how to really do this. So, like I was just going over, when you're assessing these players, you need to put time in it. Now, if you had a luxury of, if you're coaching and you get to train your own players, that's great. You already know these guys top to bottom, everything they do, everything about them. That's great. But some people that come to you, you might not have an idea or clue how this kid plays. So if you can, try to have them send you some film. Sit down and watch the film and really break down their game. See what they do. If they handle the ball 90% of the game, if they're mostly moving off the ball, if they're a great shooter, if they're not a great shooter, if they're a great ball handler, if they're not a great ball handler, whatever they have, if they have great touch around the rim, if they don't, you have to really break this down and be in the detail. People are coming to you expecting great results. Now, you're not going to turn your average kid into, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, or Michael Jordan overnight, but you can take a kid that doesn't know how to use his left hand and can't make a layup. By the end of the summer or off season, he might be able to do a left hand layup, which is a great improvement. If you can add elements to their game and help them when they get back into their season, you will have a person that will come to you and trust you for life. Anything you say to them will be gold from that point on. So you have to watch film. You have to be able to analyze their game, because if you have a player come in just doing a whole bunch of random stuff, like if you got a, high school is kind of hard to gauge on what a kid's going to be doing, because a 6'5" kid in high school, if he has potential to go to college, depending on what level he's at, like D3 might be able to play his position. If he's a 6'5" center, he might be able to be a 6'5" center in D3. D2, looking at the 3 or 4. D1, that's like the size of some point guards and shooting guards. So that's why I'm saying, like, just because they play center in high school doesn't mean they don't need to work on their ball handling, because in college it might be a whole different ball game, and you don't want to stop their growth. But I also need to make sure I'm seeing what's going on. Like, now, for instance, I'm not going to have a true point guard sit there and post up the whole time. I gotta make sure that I'm improving their skill set while getting them ready for whatever position they play back home or AAU or what may it be, because then it's not doing them justice. If I know that this 6'5" kid is playing center at school, like, yes, I had to have him work on ball handling. So we still do 20 minutes of ball handling, but when I show him and take him through the workouts, I'm trying to make him a star at the role that he's playing at his school or his program for AAU. So 20 minutes of ball handling to make sure he's sharpening his handles, and then we're going to work on the stuff that they have him do at the school, and then try to extend it a little bit. So if they have him 12 feet away from the basket, okay, now we're going to try to drag you out and take you 15 feet away from the basket, put a nice little jump shot on that, maybe a little bit more footwork and using the glass a little bit more from extended range. So that way the coach can see that he's working on this stuff and add a little bit more element to his game. So that's what you want to do on your side as the player developer. Like, as the coach, you want to be able to make sure that you're putting them in a good situation for themselves, for their team, and fitting their team needs, but while still progressing them on their skill level. Another part of this is you're still coaching. Even, if you don't coach these kids per se during game times and everything, they're still coming to you for training and guidance. So the first thing I like to do is let me sit down and talk to you. Let me get to know you one-on-one. Even if it's a 15, 20-minute conversation, sit down and talk to the kid, like the first session. Sit down and really be able to analyze and break down their game and see what they're doing. Sit down, like, besides all that stuff, you want to sit down and be able to have a conversation with them about, their family. What kind of kid are they? Does their coach at high school yell at them? What's the best motivator for them? Ask them. The best person to ask of what motivates them is the person that you're trying to motivate. You don't need to go ask somebody else. Just ask them. Build that relationship with them. Hey, do you like when you're kind of yelled at, or do you like when I just talk to you and explain stuff out? Like, really figure the kid out, like, or the person that's coming to you. You have to build that relationship, because they're trusting you with their career. So you want to exchange some type of dialogue and trust, so that way it's not uptight. When they come in, they're just ready to work. They don't feel, under pressure by you because of the type of clientele that you have, and you're a big time skills coach. Like, you got to fight all that, just making them feel comfortable. Like, they come in ready to work, not nervous at all, and just ready to be themselves. That's a big part. Like, I think that's what's missing. A lot of personality is missing in building connections, and it just becomes about just, the job itself, instead of, building a real relationship with that person. Rapport is big. Build a connection with them, and if you coach them the right way and build that connection, they'll do anything you want, and you'll start to see them improving because, like I said, they'll feel comfortable around you. So next thing you want to do when you get to before you get to a training session, you know, I do this the night before, or if I'm training in the afternoon, I do it the morning of while I'm thinking. You need, and this goes back to assessing and breaking down their game. Write down a guideline of what you're doing. Like, you need a time frame of everything, of how you're going to be breaking the kids down and trying to get them to work out. Like, what are they doing? So here's an example of mine for a kid. So we got dynamic stretching. We stretch from 130 to 140. We got ball handling stationary, 140 to 145. Ball handling on the move, 145 to 150. Miking, reverse miking, 150 to 155. Form shooting, 155 to 2 o'clock. Move at the wing, move at the finish, you know, 5 regular, 5 reverse. I know it may sound crazy to you guys, but I understand what I'm trying to say. 2 to 210. And shooting in the same way that we just did the moves on the wing, 210 to 220. And then pick and roll attacks, middles and the wings from 220 to 230. See, that workout is an hour, and that's a high major college kid that I put that workout through. So it's not a lot, because look, it looks great when you try to show someone 1,000 things at once, but think about if you read 100 pages of a book in 1 hour. If you had an hour to read 100 pages of a book, chances of you remembering everything that you just read is probably slim to none. So at the workouts, I'm not trying to fatigue a kid. I'm trying to make sure that they understand what we just went over and why they're doing it. So you gotta have a guideline to keep you on task, and that, you know, that's a part of coaching. Like, that's where coaching, you have your practice plan. Same thing when you train. You got your plan that you want to kind of stick to, or just a rubric. You might not stick to it all the way, because one drill that you thought was easy, like you might be teaching a kid how to do a reverse layup on the opposite side with the dominant hand. So, you know, if they're starting on the right wing and they need to come over and finish with their right hand on the left side. So how do they do that? So instead of like 10 reps, that might take 20 or 30 reps. You got to make sure that you're explaining stuff the right way and all the detail to go through it. I mean, there's times where I worked on a step back jumper with a kid for 45 minutes because, you know, that's something that he wanted to put into his game. So I had a whole list made out for an hour workout, and we worked on the step back 45 minutes, like just of going through it, how to position his feet, how to use his weight and balance his weight. You want to make sure that they're leaving out of there with great knowledge of what you just taught them, and not just doing a lot of things that look cool. If you're recording and putting the content out on camera, you got to make sure that there's so much detail in your work that there's no questions about it, that when they go home or when they're doing the move and you're not around, that they remember everything that you told them. You're trying to build these players up and make them well-rounded. Well, in order to do something, you need to fully understand it. So you need to correct them and give them details. Like, don't be afraid to correct. If they're doing it wrong, don't let them do it wrong. Because if they're doing it wrong now, they're going to do it wrong in the game, and then it's going to come back and it's going to look bad on you. And that's the last thing that you want to do. You want to make sure that if, you know, say one of the kids misses a jump shot, or they take a step back and they miss a jump shot, they know exactly what's wrong. Well, you know, when I went to go pick the ball up, my weight shifted in, or I faded instead of going straight up and down. Like, they should be able to kick you back what just happened. So that's where the detail comes in there. And if you spend time and giving them direction and detail, then they'll respond to that. So it's not about how much you could fit into, you know, an hour and a half. It's about what you're really teaching. And I think that's a big point. Like, you know, they don't necessarily have to be tired. My biggest thing is you should leave my workouts being able to, when you leave my workout, you should feel like you're able to go do another workout. And that's a big thing. Like, I'm not trying to drain your tank all the way. I'm trying to teach you. I'm not trying to, you know, sit there and applaud myself on the back when you're exhausted from laying on the ground and you're just worn out. Now, sometimes that might happen. You know, some of the workouts are more intense than the other ones, but you got to take time and build a skill and not just trying to make it look like they just worked hard, because, you know, you could, like I said, you could do a lot of things for an hour and a half, 2 hours, but if they're not going to remember it or it's not putting into their arsenal, you just wasted time. Now, from that, you want to decide by what level that you're coaching, you know, that you're doing your player development session with. You should be trying to see what their age level is, what their skill level is, and what kind of defense you're going to be using. Now, defense is a big part of this, like you playing defense, or, you know, you have people there that are playing defense. Now, the age level, you know, it changes what you're doing. So if you got young kids, usually I have really no defense. I have dummy pads that I hit them with and kind of let them, you know, feel what it's like to have a little bit of contact. But for the most part, I'm trying to get them the footwork and the movement down. I want the kids, you know, I know that sometimes on the right-hand side, it's nice to make that left-hand layup with that inside, or on the right-hand side, it's easy to make that left-hand layup on the right side with that inside hand. But I'm trying to show them the fundamentals. Before we get to that, let's get the right, left, going up with my right hand on the right side. So, you know, getting the right movement, the right footwork down, and then you start expanding from that. So the young kids are all about the fundamentals. It might be the most boring things ever, but if you know how to do the basic stationary ball handling drills, if you know how to do miking and reverse miking and form shooting, like, this is what I need you to know, because these are things that are going to follow you for the rest of your life, that you're going to be, you know, using to put together a routine, a pregame routine for yourself. What, you know, when you get older and as you move up the levels, that's important. For the middle schoolers, for the middle age, like, you know, you're 8 to 12 and 13, like, it depends how long you've been playing. You know, some of them fall into that category where they haven't been playing that long and they do the things that the young kids do, that where they just work on the footwork and the movement. And the high schoolers, you know, they're working on something totally different. So the middle age, it just depends on how advanced they are. And some middle ages I treat like high schoolers. High schoolers, I'm all about learning how to use your body to score the ball and stop trying to evade contact, because that's one thing that I see high schoolers do. They go in, they double clutch. They don't go in and use their shoulders for anything. You got to be able to do that. So the middle schoolers fall in that category too. You know, do they just need to learn the footwork and the movement, or are they past that? They mastered that and the jab steps and stuff, and they need to learn how to use their body. Body contact is a part of basketball. Like, you learn how to use your body, not only do you score the ball easier and you probably get more and ones and end up at the free throw line more often, but it just makes you more of a complete player. Your goal when you get to, like, when your college players need to learn how to be a star at their role. That's when you start figuring out on a bigger scale what their team needs, because now you're pretty much true to your position. Your college players, they need to work outside their realm, but you'll usually try to have a relationship with their coach, and their coach will tell you exactly what they want them to work on and what they need to work on. And then it's just as simple as that. Like, if they need to be able to score 15 feet from the basket, you don't need to have them, like, they need to have some ball handling skills, but you're not going to spend half an hour to 45 minutes in a session on ball handling. Like, that wouldn't help them, and it's making you look bad. So I'm not going to have them do a whole bunch of cone drills or cone dribbling and all that. Just stationary ball handling, like, for 10, 15 minutes, and then move on and really try to help them master putting the ball on the ground once or twice and then getting straight to the basket to score, or developing a mid-range jump shot. So that's another thing. And then with your pro players, you know, whether it's NBA or whether it's overseas, they need go-to moves, and they need to be efficient moves based on position. So, again, guards, they need to know how to handle the ball. So their workout is going to be a little bit more intense as far as, like, dribbling, seeing the floor. So you're going to be making a lot of contact. You're going to need more people, or yourself. You're going to need to show them how people are going to be leaning on them what to do if they're getting cut off and stuff like that. So you might need more people. They need to be efficient in their role. So from a guard, now you got a wing player. They might not have the ball in their hands that much as well. So they need to know how to score off the ball. So their drills need to be positioned, off the ball drills. What do they need to do? How to catch the ball, how to be able to take 2 steps and get to where you want to go, how to catch the ball and pull straight up into your jump shot. Things of that nature. Like, you got to sit down and really figure all this out. And going back to the defense of it all, you know, you got to, like, if you got a team, great, helping you. But usually you're going to be by yourself. You need to be able, when I'm training somebody, I tell them, I want you to play basketball like you walk. When you walk, you put your left foot down, you put your right foot down, and you keep walking. You don't think about it. It's just something that you do. When you play basketball, you want to kind of get to that point, meaning as when we practice this move and when to use it. So if I'm hitting you low, you know how to wrap that ball up and stuff like that. So that way your body just involuntary, just without you even having to react on it, it just makes the move for you. Or, you know, we went over the move. We did 40 reps of this move between, you know, right wing, left wing, and the top of the key. We did 40 reps of this, and we did it in different ways. Or we keep doing 40 reps every time we work out, just to keep engraving it in our brains. So now it's just in your muscle memory, and now you're just pulling out the moves. Like, everybody has that moment when they play, when you do something and you don't even know how you did it. That's where I want to get you to. And that's where the goal of the session should be. So when you're building reps and a lot of repetition, you have to show them in what situations. Like, they know if I'm leaning on them this way, they know they can spin off of me and go the other way. They know if I reach low, they come high. They know if I'm reaching high, they go low. Like, these are things that they should just be able to pick up. And then, you know, so you want them to be able to play without thinking at all. Like, without thinking. The last thing you want to do, you want to research other trainers. Now, you know, there's a lot of, basketball has been doing this for years. Coaching, everything. People take ideas from other people and they just perfect it, or they put their own little spin on it. You need to find trainers that you like. There's tons of great player development coaches out there. You need to find a style that they use that you like. And their sessions, they're posted all over the internet. Watch them and see how they interact with their players. See the dialogue that they have. See the way they correct them. See what they're trying to do. Like, you know, some of the NBA players, and you know what they're known for. If they're known for shooting, or, you know, a lot of ball handling or great assists. Watch how they work out and kind of break that down. Like, a good way to practice all this is if you go on YouTube and just kind of watch a NBA game or something, or a college game, and pick out a player and then kind of make a mock guideline. Okay, how would I train this player? What do they need to work on? Kind of just challenge yourself like that and keep yourself fresh. Like, you see the stuff that they do in the games, and then relate that to what you think their training session should be all about. Kind of challenge yourself like that. But these trainers have a lot of great content on their Instagrams and YouTube. Check that out and see the detail that they put in there, and then kind of use that guideline, and then put your own little flavor on it. You know, you have to be your own personality still, but it's great to have direction. I think there's a lot of content out there that, you know, is lacking detail, and I would say that's another big one. If you have detail in explaining and, you know, giving feedback to your clients, they will trust you. Like, their game will start to blossom, and you actually kind of help them. You help them become more coachable, and you help them understand, like, why you're telling them to do this and why it'll work and things of that nature. So you're kind of setting them up for success. You have a bigger role than just being a player development coach. Like, the key word in that is coach. You're developing these players and you're teaching them to be coachable. So take this serious. You know, it's a great career. a great profession, and you'd be lucky to sit there and, you know, train multiple clients a day for basketball, and you're making a living off of it. It's one of the greatest careers you could have. There's a lot of networking and a lot of great people that you meet just from that round orange ball. And hopefully, you know, this helps you out. And if I can answer any questions, always feel free to contact me. And, you know, whatever I can do, I'll be happy to help and glad to reach out. So hope you enjoyed the video, and see you guys next time.